Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. I'm Ross Benjamin, host of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. Once again, I'm joined by Jesse Schule, just like we were here together yesterday. We gave you 3 NFL preseason picks. We got 4 more going today. But before we get to that, Jesse, how are you, my friend?
Doing pretty good, Ross. Just one baseball game yesterday. It was a winner on the over in the Royals Red Sox. And I got time to sit back and watch the Johnny Manziel documentary last night.
Yeah, I got to catch that. I'm sure that. How did you enjoy it, or was it intriguing as I thought it would be?
Intriguing and disappointing at the same time. It was more about Manziel's partying and off the field antics and less about football. One of the disappointing things, Ross, is they didn't mention his stint in the CFL, and I found that a little bit disappointing.
Well, sure. And I think the moral to the story is how you can crash from fame with too much money if you're not disciplined. And it's shame. It's a shame because, talk about falling from grace. Anyway, to get to the other subject at hand, yesterday we covered 3 games, and I got to stand corrected. Green Bay and Cincinnati, I misspoke and said 39.5. The line in that game is 35.5, and Jesse still likes that game under 35.5, correct?
That's right, Ross. I don't expect a lot from the backup quarterback play in that game.
Yeah, so there you go, folks. I mean, once in a while, human error comes into play, and it is what it is. So Green Bay and Cincinnati, that should have read 35.5 on my part. It should have read instead of 39.5. So it would be nice if it was 39.5. Anyway, we're going to be covering the Steelers, Bucks, Atlanta Falcons, Miami Dolphins, Denver Broncos, and Arizona Cardinals, and LA Chargers, LA Rams. Battle of LA. Looking forward to it. Jesse, how you said you were 1-0 yesterday. I went 2-1. I was looking at a 3-0 day, and the Baltimore Orioles, whose bullpen has been tremendous, and Bautista, who's been a tremendous closer. 0.44 ERA, the Baltimore bullpen was in their last 7 games prior to last night. Bautista with an 0.88 ERA on the year and a 6-3 lead going into the bottom of the 9th. They lose the game 7-6 as Bautista gives up a grand slam with 1 out in the 9th, and Houston comes out on top. So a little bit of tough luck there, but I'm not going to complain because since Saturday, been 8-2 in Major League Baseball. Like I said, folks, starting to ramp it up here in August, and I notoriously always make a strong run in August. So you want to check me out, you can find me at gamblersworld.com or gamblersworld.net, excuse me, and also at rbwins.com. You can find Jesse's premium paid selections at jesseschule.com and gamblersworld.net. Gamblersworld.net, 10 of the finest handicappers you find anywhere in the country. Speaking of Gamblers World, they are our sponsor, and gamblersworld.com, which is the video section of our company, and gamblersworld.net is where you'll find 10 of the finest handicappers anywhere in the country, like I just alluded to, including me and Jesse. That's gamblersworld.net, where all single game, multi-game, and subscription plans of 30 days or less are guaranteed. If you don't make a profit according to our grading system, we will credit your account the exact amount of your purchase price. You can use that money any which way you like, anytime you like, on any handicapper you wish. All right, Jesse, let's get right to it. The Steelers and the Bucks. Right now, Pittsburgh is a 1-point favorite in that game, and the total is 39. Take it away, my friend.
Well, Ross, everybody knows that the Ravens and Harbaugh are playing for keeps in the preseason, but perhaps lesser known the run that Pittsburgh has had in the preseason. And Mike Tomlin, very similar. These guys like to win. They like to put W's on the board, and they don't care if it's preseason or regular season. Tomlin's 11-2 the last 3 years in the preseason. He's 37-24 since 2007. And the Steelers are going to roll into this preseason with the same quarterback room they had last year. Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky, and Kenny Pickett, all pretty capable quarterbacks for preseason action. And we talked before the show about how some of these teams have guys in their quarterback rotation that, you just think there's no chance that they're going to see any real time in the regular season. Well, all three of these guys have plenty of experience, and all three of these guys could see action this year. Todd Bowles on the other side, his last two preseasons, 1-6 straight up. He's 7-12 for his career. Baker Mayfield probably not going to see the field here. We're looking at Kyle Trask and John Wolford. Kyle Trask actually didn't look too bad last year in the preseason, but Wolford I'm a little bit more concerned about. And just giving me Rudolph and Trubisky, which are probably going to get the majority of the snaps for the Steelers. I got to go with Pittsburgh at close to a pick 'em. I'm going to take the -120 on the money line.
So Pittsburgh -120 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good points by Jesse. And again, that head coaching trends, you got to keep an eye on that, folks, especially when you get guys like Tomlin and Harbaugh that have been around for a while. Not only do they put an emphasis on winning during the preseason, creating a positive culture, but both of those organizations, maybe not so much recently with Pittsburgh, but both of those organizations over the longevity of both of those head coaching tenures have had a lot of quality depth on the roster, and that also adds to the success. You agree, Jess?
I do agree. Yeah, and that's evidenced by the fact that they got three quarterbacks that they probably feel comfortable with running out there in a regular season game.
I will say, though, John Wolford, when he played with the Rams and when he was asked to fill in because of injuries, he accounted himself very well in regular season play. So something to keep an eye on there. But I agree with Jesse as in terms of Pittsburgh. You're looking at Tomlin 11-2 over his last 13, and you're looking at a quarterback trio that has, Pickett, it doesn't have a lot of experience, but he showed what he could do a year ago. This will be a key year for him. And then the other two quarterbacks with experience there for Pittsburgh. So I like that play for all the reasons that Jesse just said. All right, I'm going to take a look at Friday night's game between the Denver Broncos and the Arizona Cardinals. And, folks, I looked at this one up and down, looked at the depth charts. I think when push comes to shove in the regular season, Denver will be the superior team, but it's not the regular season. And it's a whole different way we need to look at games. But, you look at the fact that Denver is a 5 or 5.5 point favorite, depending on where you're looking on the road. You know how rare this is? Let me tell you how rare. Road favorites of 3.5 to 5.5 in their preseason opener. Only twice has that occurred since 1984. Just 2 times has a team opened their preseason as a road favorite of between 3.5 to 5.5. They covered on both occasions. All right, now we get to Sean Payton, first year with Denver. I don't know if you guys read yesterday, but he's really laying the law down for the Broncos in a couple of provisions. He wants all the team to follow. Off the top of my head, you can't take your uniform off after we pull you from the game in preseason action. You can't wear any kind of hat other than your helmet during the preseason. There's a couple other stipulations, and it rubbed the organization, people within the organization, players the wrong way. But you know what? He's putting his foot down and he's putting his stamp on this organization, and we'll see how they respond in that regard. Not so much in the preseason, but during regular season action, more importantly. But, I look at his time with New Orleans, and remember, he started with New Orleans back in 2006, and then he was suspended, I believe, in 2012 and 2013, and 23-26 straight up in ATS during preseason action with New Orleans. If you want to look for a head coaching trend, when he was with the Saints, his last 6 preseason openers as head coach in New Orleans, they went 5-1 to the over. Then on the other side of the coin, You got Jonathan Gannon making his debut as an NFL coach. His official debut will be obviously in regular season week 1, but this is his first crack at being on the sidelines and being in charge of an NFL team. So I got nothing to go on there. And when I look at Sean Payton's record of 23-26 straight up in ATS, I look within that, home, away, a favored, underdog, and I did not come up with anything that was strong. It was very inconclusive. So I'm going to lean back toward one of my NFL preseason betting angles that I mentioned on Monday. And it's anytime you have a game 1 preseason favorite of 3.5 to 5.5. Those teams have gone 8-1 straight up in ATS since 2019, and won or outscored the opposition by a convincing margin of 9.1 points per game. Again, any NFL preseason team playing in their preseason opener as a favorite of 3.5 to 8.5, 5.5, 8-1 straight up in ATS since 2019. Not a huge sample size, but certainly a successful one. It's very small lean based on that betting angle and nothing else on the Denver Broncos -5 over the Arizona Cardinals. Anything you want to add?
Not really so much about the point spread and the pick itself, but your comments on Sean Payton and his authoritarian approach. I got to say, I'm a big fan of that kind of coaching. And one takeaway from the Johnny Manziel documentary was the people around him really contributed to enabling him. And one of those guys was Cliff Kingsbury. And you see, he didn't have a lot of success at Arizona. And that approach of letting your quarterback not watch film, not study game film, and it's not a recipe for success. So I like the chances that Sean Payton's going to come in there, change the culture, and put wins on the board for the Denver Broncos.
I wasn't even aware he's with Kingsbury in Arizona. After his days with Cleveland,
Kingsbury was the OC at Texas A&M.
Oh, okay, all right.
When he won the Heisman.
Yeah, okay. I remember Kingsbury when he was with Texas Tech as the coach there. Yeah, if you recall, too, Manziel orchestrated one of the best upsets of that season when he went into Tuscaloosa and Texas A&M knocked them off and is the number 1 team in the country, and he was an integral part of that upset. So, all right, let's take a look at game 2 for Jesse, and that's the Atlanta Falcons and the Miami Dolphins. Atlanta right now a 2.5-point favorite in 36. I don't know, Jesse, but I see a line like this in preseason action. To me, this shouts out to me that Atlanta must be playing their starters a little more than Miami plans on, if Miami plans on playing them at all, based on this line and the game being in Miami. What do you think?
Well, I will mention that we discussed the Cincinnati Bengals and the injury to Joe Burrow. And I said that was influencing the line, not because Joe Burrow wasn't going to play, because he was never going to play anyways. But I felt that the coaching staff then has to be more careful with the second string quarterback, because he's going to be necessary if your starter can't come back. And we have that similar situation with Tua and the concussions. Clearly, they don't want to roll him out there any more than they need to, given his history with head injuries. And that might have them being a little more conservative with their quarterbacks. And you got Desmond Ridder, which is an interesting situation. The Falcons have announced that Desmond Ridder is the starter, despite the fact that they signed Heineke for 2 years for $14 million. That's a lot of money for a backup quarterback. And Heineke is a proven commodity in the NFL. He might not be Pro Bowl material, but he's been competitive. He's kept teams in games. He's won games in Washington. You sort of know what you're going to get from him. And while they've said that Ritter's the man, I expect Heineke to be giving him a run for his money here in the preseason. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of a quarterback competition developing in Atlanta. And you got Skylar Thompson, saw most of the action last year. Actually played quite well in the preseason. He didn't look very good in the regular season. I was not high on Skylar Thompson when he played for Kansas State. I don't consider him having the kind of top end talent that you'd expect from a NFL caliber quarterback. And Mike McDaniels as a coach, he was 2-1 last year in the preseason, but I don't think he has a reputation for wanting to play starters in the preseason. So I like Atlanta minus the 2.5.
I agree with you, Jesse, for all the points you just alluded to. And it's a good point about Joe Burrow and how they need to be careful about the second string quarterback. I mentioned yesterday, I didn't think that was the reason for the move, but with that explanation there, I certainly understand where you were going with that now. And also the fact that, if you sign Tyler Heineke for 2 years, $14 million, and you drafted a guy number 1 last year and you deem him to be the starter, to me, that tells me that it's not a huge vote of confidence, but he's still in his second year. And if he struggles, they don't want him to lose his confidence. They'd rather pull him, let him sit on the sidelines and learn from a veteran quarterback like Heineke. Now, you said, he's not Pro Bowl material, but the guy, when he did play for Washington, accounted himself very, very well and won some games for the Commanders. So all good points, Jesse. So Jesse likes Atlanta minus 2.5 over Miami. And also he likes the Pittsburgh Steelers on the money line minus 120 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, my last game is going to be the Chargers and the Rams, 9:00 Eastern time on Saturday night. SoFi Stadium will be the site. It's the home field for both teams. Officially, the Rams are the home team. Don't put a lot of stock in that. The Rams right now a 2.5-point favorite. The total is 33.5. The Rams 1-5 straight up since 2021 with McVay. They didn't have any number one. They didn't have a number 1 draft choice this year, I should say. But between rounds 2 and 7, they made 15 picks, Jesse, because they amassed a ton of picks through trades. And a lot of those rookies will get extensive time because obviously you draft those guys, you want to see what you have. And it's not an ordinary draft class, which usually is anywhere from 5 to 7 players. And now we're looking at a team who's got 15 draft choices in the same year. And here's a very good betting angle that I like to look at. And I'm going to use it here. Since 2016, NFL preseason, away underdogs of 3.5 or 3 or less, and the total is 35.5 or less. Right now, the total 33.5, 22-3-2 against the spread. That's good for 88%. And out of those 27 games, the underdog in that situation won 21 of those 27 games since 2016. I'm going to lean on the betting angle here in this one. Again, folks, since 2016, any NFL preseason away underdog of 3 or less with a total of 35.5 or less has gone 22-3-2 against the spread and won 21 of those 27 games outright. I'm going to go with the LA Chargers here and take the 2.5 over the LA Rams. Jesse, anything you want to add in that regard?
Quarterback Easton Stick for the Chargers, one of the greatest names in football. And you have to understand ice hockey to know what I'm talking about there, because one of the big brand names for hockey sticks is Easton. So his name is Easton Stick. And
is he Canadian?
I don't think he is, but he was actually highly touted, and there was some high expectations for him last year. He didn't really live up to the expectations. He saw plenty of time in the preseason last year, didn't really live up to expectations, but I'm excited to see what he can do this year.
Yep, looking forward to NFL preseason week 1. I'll be back tomorrow with Chip Chirimbus and Doug Upstone. We'll have some more games to discuss with you. Friday, me and Jesse will be back with 4 more games, and that will cover all 16 games this week in NFL opening the first full week of the NFL preseason. Jesse, tell the folks what you may have coming up and what's been going on.
Well, I've just been going through the motions with Major League Baseball, but it's that exciting time of the year. I haven't even zeroed in on a week 1 preseason game yet, but I'm about to. We got the English Premier League kicking off this weekend. I'm working on college football as well. So now is the time to jump on board. I'm excited about everything, and I think you guys should be excited about it too.
There you go. Jesse, by the way, one of the best soccer handicappers you'll find anywhere in North America, and in his case, in Thailand. That's where he resides. Yes, he does, folks. That's not a joke. Anyway, you could find me at rbwins.com. You could find me at gamblersworld.net, where the picks are all guaranteed, like I alluded to earlier. Once again, folks, since Saturday on an 8-2 run in Major League Baseball, heating up right there. So, you want to make some money. You want the best picks I have on the board. Gamblersworld.net, rbwins.com is where you'll find those picks. Also, my NFL preseason picks. The last 2 years, 18-10 against the spread. That's pretty darn good. The last I checked. And anybody who tells you they can't make money on the NFL preseason has absolutely no clue what they're talking about. It's a different approach. And if you do it for a living and you put up results, you must listen. You have to listen. 57% since 2010 as well, above and beyond that last 2 year run. So two guys that make, and Jesse, by the way, last year at picksandparlays.net, he knows me out by, I was 8-4 and he was 8-2. So came down to the final week and he won the winner's circle battle here as a top preseason handicapper. So there you go. All right, Jesse, always a pleasure, my man. Thank you once again. And for all of you out there, don't forget, give us a like. If you're watching on your PC, there's a WC logo right there in the bottom right-hand corner of your video box. If you click on that, it'll subscribe you to the channel. And also, if you're watching on your mobile device, which most of you are, once again, I say that because the statistics bear that out. And there's a black subscribe button right underneath the video box. You can't miss it. Click that subscribe button, folks. It costs you absolutely nothing. There's no hidden agenda and there's no obligations. It's just you get all this information absolutely free by being a subscriber, supporting the channel just by hitting that subscribe button. And once you're in there, your YouTube notification bell, click on that. And once we release any of our Winner's Circle sports betting podcasts right here on our channel, you'll be alerted immediately, and you don't have to keep coming back and forth to check all day long. So until the next time, for Jesse Schule and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless, folks.